Welcome back to the LCS Countdown, where we're gearing up for our first game of the day, Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. And if we pull up the rest of the schedule, we'll see that Dignitas are facing off against TSM a little later in the day. Team Liquid will take on Golden Guardians before we end the week with CLG and Immortals. Then go ahead and join us for the Bud Light League Lounge, where I'm joined by Ezreal, Crumbs, and Raz to look back on our first week of play. We'll probably toast a few players, maybe play a game or two, but it's always a good time to close things up and wrap it out. Ahead of Cloud9's return, though, to the Summer Split, Licorice remarked that while many may see him as the leader of the championship squad, that responsibility falls on everyone.
With this team, it doesn't really feel like you can point at one person and be like, they are the leader of the team. So it's like really hard to say that anyone is like leading, because I think like everyone is just doing their job and they're like talking about what they think should be done, and like in a way we're all like little leaders, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But like I don't know. I think we're just like, we're a team of 5 players who are all working really hard, and we just really want to win. The mentality that we have is that we are like totally capable of winning another split, because in spring we like basically crushed everybody. So like we know that we have it in us to do it again. So for us, it's just all about focusing on making sure that we get good practice and that we keep improving in the same ways that we have been.
I mean, Licorice said it himself right there. Spring Split, they basically crushed everyone, and so much of the story coming into summer was how much better can they get? How good are they really? And who will challenge them?
Yeah, and I especially liked how he said it's like a 5 little leader lineup where everyone has their own idea about what they're trying to do, and they just work really well together to actually make that happen. And that's why they had the most dominant split we've ever seen out of any team in North America. They absolutely slammed the regular season, slammed playoffs, and it looks like they are going to continue doing that in summer here.
I think
so
they're
probably...
really
go ahead, Crumbs.
I think they're really challenging the idea that you need very good competition to reach a certain level, where a lot of times teams like, oh, the rest of the region's not that good, like we can't possibly get better. Like they clearly don't care. Like they have found a way to continue to improve, which I think is really impressive, and just shows you that you can figure things out internally and actually continue to get better.
Well, let's talk about their competition today then, particularly that top lane matchup, because probably yesterday you so eloquently displayed for us in picture form the extinguishers of the top lane, Ssumday being one of them, and that's Licorice's opponent here.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be able to break in the top 2. These two will cool down any hot top laner pretty quickly. And as you can see, like these stats for Licorice are obviously insane, because being on Cloud9 just gives you, I don't know, amazing everything. I think the solo kills compared to Isodeaths is still really nice in Licorice's favor. But I do want to mention a bit on Ssumday's behalf. Like, the stats don't look too great on his side, but if you talk to any LCS top laner, like, no one's able to play a weak matchup properly against Ssumday and be comfortable with it, because Ssumday's just going to use you as a punching bag. So basically, the stats don't tell the whole truth about my boy Ssumday, but at least you get a good idea of how aggressive he can be.
All right, let's stay on the 100 Thieves train then, Probably. I'm going to come right back to you. Win conditions for today, holistically.
All right, win conditions, I'm going to keep it a lot of it's based on yesterday's match. And I have to say, we had to clean up those whoopsies. There's way too many like mid-jungle just hands problems, a little bit of brain problems where we're like going in when we don't need to be. So a lot of little individual errors that are just completely fixable mistakes within a day. And then you're playing against Blaber. Blaber's really aggressive. He's going to take over the game, early game, if you give him a good matchup. So Meteos hasn't played well yesterday. Today I want him on a good matchup so he can actually fight Blaber.
Mark, the response for Cloud9?
Somewhat similar mind. I think pick a strong top laner, Jace, Renekton, whatever it is, for Licorice, so he can kind of go 1v1 against him. And then take a greedy jungler for Blaber. Like you're saying about how great he is, we've seen him on things like Nocturne, which can just power farm and then still make plays. Maybe that's Graves, maybe that's Nidalee. There's a lot of things in the jungle right now that you can give to him, Kindred even, that are a little bit more focused on just what they want to do. And the rest of the team will support that.
Well, these guys have laid it out. We'll see if the teams take the advice as we throw it on over to Freak and Ezreal to get ourselves into Game 1.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LCS 2020 Summer Split for Sunday. I'm Freak. Ezreal, are you ready?
Let's go. I think it was even more cringe today than it was last time.
That's fine.
Think that is like so on brand for you. So this should
know.
just be the will someone win worlds, and you should do it every single cast for the whole split. And it's gonna go like full circle, you know. It's gonna get to this point where people are like, this is so stupid, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's how tons of damage got popular. Is I just said that every ability in the Champions Follies had tons of damage. And when it first got memed, it was when Yorick came out, because everyone thought the champion was dog poop, and it was kind of
little
true.
ghosties.
And he didn't do tons of damage back then, and we just got full circle, and it's a positive thing again. Speaking of positive things, Cloud9 are 1-0 so far in the LCS, picking up where they left off as what seems to be the most dominant team in the league. 100 Thieves had a rough start against a very solid Evil Geniuses. We might see them bounce back here today.
I mean, they have a brutal schedule with how well EG played in the first, couple games. That is obviously a pretty tough team to go up against, and then to have Cloud9 as your follow-up game. The bright side for 100 Thieves is that things should get more easy going forward, but you want to see if they can really compete with these top teams. Can they hold their own against Cloud9? Make it at least competitive. I am really looking at that top lane as the analyst that's been talking about a lot. Ssumday really had an incredible spring split regular season, but he did fall off pretty heavily in playoffs. Did not match up well against Licorice, did not match up well against Broken Blade and the guys he was going up against in those playoff series. So, I want to see what Ssumday can bring here on the red side. Will they prioritize him a little bit more than yesterday? Because yesterday he was, blind picking Ornn. I would love to see Ssumday, get an advantageous matchup against Licorice and see, can you win through your top lane? Can you have this superstar top laner Ssumday try to take over the game a little bit?
Well, back-to-back Olaf games here for Blaber. Has been a super highly prized top-tier jungler here. It's also what Meteos played yesterday, or I should say on Saturday, or no, Friday. There we go. Third tie's the charm. So we'll see him on a new champion here as well. Blind pick Ornn, though, seems to be happening. It's the worldwide most picked top laner. As the analyst mentioned, the LPL has actually more games on Wukong than we do on Ornn, but still going to be the lockup there. Cody Sun on Aphelios I do like. I think he's been one of their best performing members in their one game so far. He and Ssumday feel like the late game insurance, and Ezreal Yuumi already locked in for Cloud9.
This is really interesting. I mean, it just always feels like with 100 Thieves, they're more willing to use Ssumday as this blind pick than they are willing to pick for him. It's one of those situations where it feels like they're saying, okay, you're good enough to win or be okay in every matchup. Maybe some of the other players aren't. But then it becomes this discussion of, should you emphasize strengths or shore up weaknesses? And it feels like in this case, they're using Ssumday to shore up the weakness of Ryoma, who does often struggle in the mid lane and, hasn't been having as good of a time. But then you're kind of taking away one of your major win conditions, which is something that I don't love about how 100 Thieves drafts, because I just think that Ssumday is such a talented mid laner. If you give him a winning matchup, as he showed in spring, that can just win you the whole game, right? And now you're taking that completely away, and you're putting him in a situation where, blind pick Ornn is not going to slam Licorice. And then you're relying now on Ryoma and Cody Sun very heavily, and those guys I think are not matching up as well, perhaps as Ssumday is in that top lane.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I just want to take the devil's advocate side of this one, which is, hey, maybe it's 100 Thieves trying to flesh out the rest of their team, saying, look, yes, it's Summer Split. This is the one that sends us to Worlds, that we're going to do well enough to do that, but we've got 9 weeks and playoffs to, be in that form. Let's find ways to win without Ssumday 1v9ing. Through that lens, I fully accept 100 Thieves putting Ssumday on Ornn duty and forcing the improvement out of Ryoma and Meteos and the rest of that squad to be ready, because if that is your goal, then I think that makes complete logical sense to play that way. Though I still agree, if I'm trying to win a game right now, it's like, hey, Set wasn't banned, let's get Ssumday on a damage champion.
Yeah, exactly. So we will see how the rest of the team does perform. And they do have Meteos on a carry here too. The Kindred coming in. I think this is actually the same matchup that Blaber had last time around in his previous game. He was actually playing, that Olaf, and Kindred can actually fare pretty well. No, excuse me, he was going up against Santor and Lee Sin, so that must have been in a different game. But Kindred can fare pretty well against the Olaf, but you have to be very careful about face checking him. If you are the one getting to jump on Olaf and you can use your Q, the Dance of Arrows, to actually dodge out the Olaf axe, that becomes a 1v1 that you can actually win early on, especially if you do have red buff. But if you are face checking that Olaf and you get hit by that first axe, you are going to be doomed. So we'll see how Meteos can play this. He definitely has to be careful to make sure he knows where Olaf is.
And as time ticks down, Gangplank is hover, and Cloud9 gonna lock that one in. So hey, we're getting a fighter up there. Shout out to Jat's last professional game on Gangplank. Pulled out the loss in the jungle there, but looks like GP top lane against Ornn should be an exciting one. That'll be a whole bunch of fun. You were, by the way, half right on the Kindred Olaf one. It was just Meteos was in that matchup as opposed to Blaber being in that one, though. So he was against Sven. So Meteos playing the reverse matchup that he played up on Friday, and as you mentioned, Blaber getting his second Olaf game straight. As it's going to be the rest of the dive-in squad. The hard engage isn't incredible, but Galio can follow up on it.
Yeah, my problem with this, and I mean, it's Cloud9, so they can obviously win with this, but my problem with Galio when you don't have hard engage is that you often struggle to find opportunities to really use that well. Galio pairs so well with hard engage, things like the Nautilus, like the Jarvan, you know, even the Rakan, champions that are guaranteed go buttons. What is your go button here? Your go button is Olaf pressing ultimate and running towards his opponents, and you're hoping that that is going to give you that perfect Galio ult. You know, I struggle to see that happening. So I do think that Cloud9 actually doesn't have the best draft here. That being said, you can use it as counter engage, and one thing I do have to point out is that Galio is incredibly good into Kindred. So what you can actually do is when the Kindred drops the ultimate, you then time your ultimate to land as the Kindred ultimate is expiring. You have the taunt come out of that, and it pretty much guarantees a team fight win if you can get that combo timed perfectly. That being said, the Azir is also there to shuffle people out of that Kindred ult, so it's really going to depend on those interactions and who can use that best if it does come down to team fights.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch for, though. Hey, it's a button you press and say, hey, everyone, look at the circle. Get ready for all the crowd to come down. It's going to be explosive in 3, 2, 1, and then 4 kills on both sides. So, yeah, it's going to be a whole bunch of fun to watch for. I'm glad you mentioned the counter-engage side, because that is what it feels like C9 has to do here is, well, they've got the Ezreal Yuumi poke. They clearly picked for a top lane counter pick, right? We're in a meta game, especially in North America, where you're expecting early Ornn. So getting comps around, well, we're just going to play Gangplank in the second round of the draft, and then we're going to play around side lane, and the rest of our team is wave clear and counter engage. You know, that is at least a look that C9 can show us, and yeah, I want to know if it works well, because on the opposing side, Azir, Kindred, and Aphelios, right? There is some very, very good backline damage on the 100 Thieves side.
Yeah, and I mean, what it feels like to me is that C9 is actually drafting to just go 4-man bot over and over. I think that they're going to use this Yuumi Ezreal to poke out the bottom lane. They're going to use the Olaf to push mid with this Galio to get priority there, and then they're going to do a 4-man roam down to bot side. Olaf runs in to try to dive this turret. Galio's ulting on top of him. You have Ezreal and Yuumi for those ults to try to lock them down. And I think, you see Gangplank just farming up in that top lane, ulting bot on cooldown. I think that is going to be the game plan, so we'll see if 100 Thieves can identify that and react to it. Sometimes it's a lot easier said than done to answer these C9 aggressive plays because they are so consistent about them. They are so quick to pull the trigger on those moves, and you have got to be matching them, punch for punch, blow for blow the entire game long, or C9 will just run you over.
That's going to be fun to watch for. I'm always intrigued to see compositions that have more of a game plan than just, here's what our 5-on-5 looks like. Well, we counter-engage and we poke beforehand. It's like, no. The comp is around the first 15 minutes where we're just never out of bot lane. Aphelios gets 12 CS at 12 minutes, and, well, better bot wins because it's 4v2 in this lane. Like, that's exciting to me, is seeing a sort of second-level kind of composition where you're doing things that aren't as standard in your generic league compositions.
Yeah, and I mean, you can even see the rune setup for Nisqy is working more towards this as well. You take the minion dematerializer, you can dematerialize cannon waves, instantly wave clear out the rest of that with your QE plus passive, AoE auto, and then guess what? You're roaming, and Azir is stuck having to either give up that wave to match the roam, or is going to be behind on that roam. So that is something that is a really intelligent way to set up if you're looking for this sort of play style. And here we go. Blaber starting off with the sweeper, and notice how he actually donates the CS over to Licorice. If you give that one ward kill to a solo laner, they will actually get that level 2 1 minion sooner, which can actually matter quite a lot in those early levels.
Yeah, Nisqy walked into what I believe was XP range as well, and that should mean that both of them should be getting level 2 off of just the first wave. It's probably hard to punish an Azir. I'm not expecting that all in to happen from Nisqy, but can mean a lot in the top lane. That thing is so volatile down there as the lanes show up. Perfect CS so far for Zven, as Cody Sun's going to knock down these best he can as well. Blaber just on the power farm duties. Blue start, machete, chunking down single target camps, no problem as Olaf.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have seen a couple different looks so far. Blaber obviously yesterday, a lot of it was about invading, about getting really aggressive, trying to steal away camps constantly with this Olaf. And He also did go for a fairly aggressive build yesterday with the Warrior. We've been seeing mostly Warrior thus far this season, whereas, you know, in the past, especially last season, we had been seeing a lot more kind of tank Olaf. They do have quite a bit of damage in this comp, so I'm going to be interested to see if he wants to go for that full damage style to kind of pair up with that Yuumi and fly in there and try to knock people down early.
A very small early CS lead to Licorice, but Ssumday smells a little bit of blood in the water, lands the slow. Licorice better be careful. The punch comes in, Flash would kill him. And that means Licorice has to flash away. Well, Ssumday's win and land against the counter pick early on as Licorice steps too far up.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the danger of Ornn into these melee matchups, is that, yes, this is a matchup where as you scale in GP, you know, you can really comfortably farm and get towards that late game, but the brittle procs just do so much damage, and now that the wave hasn't been able to be pushed in, you know, Licorice was looking to try to shove that wave, wasn't able to get it in, is down flash, and now he's in this really exposed spot where if he backs off, the wave is frozen. If he doesn't, he's exposed to a gank, and Meteos is up here, so I think Licorice is probably gonna die without that flash. Yeah, he's
the
dead.
Jump. Here comes the slow. Not a possible way to leave this one. Knockup's not gonna land just yet, but easy pickup there. First blood to 100 Thieves. Meteos sets up Ssumday.
Really well played, and the fact that the first blood goes, okay, flash for flash there, not too bad, but you know, the fact that the first blood goes to Ornn makes it even harder. And guess what? He doesn't even get to just walk back to lane. He's got a TP because the wave is still screwed. The wave is still frozen up there, so he needs to get this into the turret. And this is one of those situations where the one mistake early on from Licorice starts a snowball. The fact that he, you know, misplayed those early trades, he has to flash, means he still needs to stay around, unfreeze the wave, means he dies, now he has to commit the teleport, and it can start to kind of snowball these errors into a difficult situation. So good punish by Ssumday and Meteos, and we'll see how Licorice can recover.
He's going to do his very best, managed to push the wave the rest of the way in. We saw Blaber was able to take the top river. They actually kind of saw each other, Blaber and Meteos. So, okay, knows Kindred has to back off, knows the Olaf's around. That finally gives Licorice the safety to finish the shove, force him to recall, make him teleport back. All right, so flash advantage, itemization's pretty close between the two, all things considered. But yeah, the flash of Licorice the next 3 minutes obviously means that can be another gank target.
Yeah, and the other part of that you know I have to address also is the fact that while Meteos was spending that time ganking, that allowed Blaber to do bottom side scuttle and then charge straight up to top and actually take that away from him. So Meteos didn't get a mark from either of those scuttles. You know, is going to be behind in farm, and then it can get into this situation where, you know, if you try to regank and Olaf is there and Olaf is just way stronger than that Kindred, you know, Olaf can just completely change that fight out. So that can be pretty rough, and you can see Ssumday actually used his TP, but has taken the bad end of a couple trades immediately after, so Gangplank is sort of securing himself back in this lane. As Ssumday, you know, pretty low on mana, behind on health. If you get hit by too many of those Gangplank Qs with Grasp up, you are going to get chunked out and really start to lose control in that area.
Well, right now, though, Meteos is going to go back to the bottom side of the map, and with Stunt and Cody Sun finishing their recent recalls, interesting, kind of an early timing for the Aphelios, goes for Xert Greaves over the more standard if you can get it BF Sword recall, but adds the extra ward down there as well. Already there for the Drake, and a very, very early pickup. 100 Thieves going to be stacking that objective quickly.
I think it was actually really smart, you know, and it just seemed like it was more of kind of a window of opportunity. You're playing against the TP Ezreal, so you need to take those recalls as Aphelios, I think, when you can, to not get sometimes stuck under the turret. And Ssumday here looking for the all-in.
Oh, he broke the first barrel, has the easy punch. No, goes for the ward, doesn't hit Licorice. I don't know if that was a misclick or if he meant to go for that one, but Licorice now feels comfortable to hit back as Ssumday is out of cooldowns, leeches some health back up.
Seemed like Ssumday misplayed that a bit. There was a bit of, it looked like a canceled auto. You know, we did have the brittle proc. Not sure that went as well as he was hoping. Licorice also still has the ultimate, so Ssumday, you know, going to be a bit of an awkward spot. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just kind of a window of opportunity for Aphelios to take that reset. You know, getting that early dragon is great, especially when Kindred is the one behind the pace of the Olaf. We saw it yesterday. Cloud9, you know, was kind of having this back and forth game with FlyQuest, and the reason they really started to actually take over was the objectives, right? They got themselves Soul, they got themselves Elder, they took all the, you know, Rift Heralds up in the top lane, so denying that stacking condition was great.
I feel like Blaber wins that. He's level 6. What does Meteos do against that? Of course, the problem is Azir is here first, but Nisqy can come right over as well. The flash to follow. Meteos forced to flash back over the wall. Axe gonna land. The health bar is so low, and Cannon Barrage grants Licorice a kill against the opposing jungler. Ties the goal right back up.
they're going to push us in. There's no escaping for Ssumday. He has no TP. It's 3-man top. Azir is mid. The jungler's dead. They know there's no way out for this, so they just need to do it cleanly. Pulling aggro here.
Early flash. He's going to get rid of the top, but the knockups are still there. It's an easy walk away. Nisqy has no problems making that dive happen. Blaber going to leech some gold, saying, Licorice, that's okay. I'll farm it for you. Don't worry about it. The plate's not going to go waste. Really just prioritizing that Olaf farm, as he can grab the plate if he wants it and takes down the rest of the wave.
Yeah, that is actually so interesting that they're giving that much to the Olaf, and to me that really says that they are going to be counting a lot on Olaf plus Yuumi as a combo to kind of run over the mid game. You know, donating that gold with both solo laners there, it's actually the jungler who stays and, you know, picks up the plate, picks up that extra wave. That is going to be looking really, really good for him. Obviously, the other part of that, too, is that the solo laners wanted to take that time to reset immediately, whereas, you know, Blaber was more okay to stay out on the map. He now has his warrior completed, so things looking really, really good for Cloud9 off of that. And Ssumday, you know, not only did he not have the TP, he didn't have flash, so they want to make this play. Blaber knows he can always win that 1v1. He's actually just waiting for Galio to be in range of the ultimate. And as soon as Galio is in range, he flashes in on Meteos. It's another axe over the wall. And then just that last axe, plus the Gangplank ultimate, was enough to get the kill. And with Kindred dead, there's just no escaping this for Ssumday. And C9 plays it really, really well. Notice how they actually hold the taunt until after the flash is used. Blaber runs in, threatening melee, but doesn't pull aggro himself. You know, they played that out really, really well. They wait for somebody to spend the spells, meaning there's no way for him to really outplay it. Then the taunt lands, and he gets knocked down.
Yeah, pretty beautifully done right there. Cloud9 is the 1,100 gold ahead now in this game, despite the Meteos first blood, the one given over to Ssumday. They've obviously answered it very, very well. Quick check onto the bottom lane. 15 CS lead for Zven and Vulcan. Blaber back in the jungle. Level lead over Meteos. Smite's going to come through, but here's the ulti follow through. Meteos can keep himself alive. And this is going to be a trade that's going to go 100 Thieves' way for a short time. Knock up there, but Galio over the wall, and Nisqy claims one. How about the re-engage, though? Nisqy himself, flashless, doesn't find the knockup. Ssumday knocks down the brittle and has to jump away, though. It's 3v2, but damage for Ryoma nearly knocks down Nisqy down to 150 health. Licorice, though, is here to keep the team alive, and out goes Cloud9 with a kill.
Yeah, nice kill there, going heavy on the invade. Again, they had the quicker roam from Nisqy because he has that mid lane push. And, you know, Ryoma did a good job of kind of pushing the rest of the Cloud9 members away to dissuade them from continuing that fight, not allowing them to get additional kills on the back end of it. But still, another thing going the way of Cloud9. A second kill here onto Nisqy now, and he is going to be going for an early proto belt. It does seem like the AP Galio burst can become pretty darn frightening, and getting that early proto belt sets you up so well for the teamfight stage.
Yeah, and so far, so good. Cloud9 is comfortable with a 1,400 gold lead as it grows off of that previous kill. As you can see, Ssumday having to really respect Licorice's damage output. There's 22 CS lead up there now already. Obviously, bot lane we checked in, remaining at 15. Recalls come through. That's the BS right for Cody Sun. The Manamune stacking up without problems as well for Zven. So it feels like Cloud9 was able to ignore bot lane as they quietly pick up their win. But to point out, the second Drake is up. 100 Thieves got the first one, and Meteos is there on cooldown, ready to go for it again.
Yep, he is going to be trying to look towards stacking that up as much as possible. And Stunt, you do not win this, my friend.
He is going to be fast. He's going to come back out with the team, and Olaf is just charging in as the knockups follow through. Double kill already for the squad, and Cody Sun trades one back. Flashed away from Nisqy. He's on fire, though. Just gets away from True Shot Barrage, but under 100 health left on him. Maybe could have turned that fight around. It was close, but still a 2-for-1 to Cloud9.
Yeah, nicely played by Cody to get out in the end. Had to dodge out on a couple of those skill shots, but yeah, 2-for-1 for them. And Stunt, you know, hooking in there on the Olaf. Yes, the Olaf is down, what, 40-50% HP, but unless you have someone immediately there to follow up and burst them down, it's not like support damage does anything to an Olaf. You know, his self-healing alone is going to just be more than enough to keep him alive and to knock you right down. That is exactly what happened. They had the GP ulti coming up from that top, so this is more the kind of plays that I was expecting from Cloud9, looking down towards that bottom side, utilizing the GP ult. But it is 100 Thieves back to the dragon immediately. We'll see if they can actually force this, because Cloud9 is closing in on both sides, and it may end up just being the leash for C9.
Yeah, it's at half already, and no one wants to stop this. Cloud9 back to their absurdly winning ways the spring split. It's Blaber and Nisqy, 100% co-participation, now to the bottom lane.
Yeah, so this is that replay from earlier. Stunt hooks in, but no one's there immediately to follow up, so you're just going to die. Galio ultimate is available. He gets burst down. You know, we see that Meteos quickly goes down after. A nice trade kill from Cody, and you know, good job sidestepping the Ezreal ult there to survive. But just a poor engage from Stunt. You know, he would have had to wait until people were a little bit closer to immediately follow up on that Olaf. Because if you're going to engage on Olaf, you must burst him down immediately, or the damage, it really becomes pretty out of control. You know, at low health, Conqueror stack, his ceiling is pretty insane.
Yep, it's pretty painful here. Zven just forced to wave clear and hold up onto the turret. Not a problem, though, for him. It's, you know, you can see half of plate has been taken down by 100 Thieves down there. Mid lane has lost 1 plate. That's really the only stuff 100 Thieves have gotten. 2 kills, a Drake, and a plate and a half, as Meteos now keeps, you know, trying. And honestly, I feel like even though he is dying a fair bit, he's been pretty active on the map. Like I said, he got that first Drake, he got a red steal before. Ryoma's gonna get shot down right now as the winds come out, and it's another kill into the mid lane. Still 100% KP for jungle and mid of Cloud9.
Very well done, and now you can see them moving up towards top side. They wanted to go for the Herald, but Meteos does sneak it away, so well done by Meteos, you know, grabbing both the Dragon and a Rift Herald, you know, while pretty far behind in this jungle matchup is a pretty good situation for him to be in. He'll be able to pick up some of that farm mid lane to catch up a little bit there too. Blaber obviously wants to scuttle, but he knows that the bot lane is roaming, so he's actually just hiding behind the wall here until they can get a bit of a better spot where Galio's roaming down.
This is the bait. Stunt. You've got no one around you to help. Why are you challenging an Olaf? What was that purpose? And now Ryoma is forced to jump away as well, but Nisqy gets the crowd control, baited in by the hubris of your support. Nisqy, though, is going to be a close fight. Gets the taunt, gets the hit, has to pop the stopwatch, and Zven is there for good measure. Ensures that it's another 2 for 0, and this is going bad to worse for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, Zven flashing in with that flash Mystic shot over the wall, finishing off Ryoma. But Stunt is just going way too early. That is twice in a row now. This one was even more egregious, to be honest with you. You know, the engages are fine, but you have to have your teammates immediately there to follow up. If they are not there, the engage is not good. It doesn't matter how much of an opportune moment it feels like. You've got to have those people there to immediately burst someone down when you hook in as this Nautilus, especially when you're looking over and seeing, you know, things like the Olaf, things like the Yuumi, that in an extended fight, if you don't get that initial kill, they're going to have so much self-healing, and the fight is going to go more and more the way of Cloud9.
Yeah, and you can't even blame coordination, right? He's playing bottom lane. He knows C9 has wave control over bot lane. He knows Ezreal and Yuumi can move, and he showed himself by clearing that ward. So he knows all the info he needs, which is, I'm a support alone, showing in the river, bots pushed, Ezreal can show, let's fight Olaf. That is just an objective, unforced error that Stunt should be better than making.
It feels like one of those situations where, you know, you're having those games and everything feels like it's going wrong, and you just think, I've got to do something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that mindset where it feels like, I've got to make a play. We're losing. Like, got to make something happen. Olaf's here. Let's go. You know? And it doesn't feel like you're thinking through the entire play, because if he takes that moment to think it through, very clearly there was no chance of that really working out for them. Blaber up here. It looks like they want to set up for a dive. The bot lane is moving up. They spot Meteos, but it would still be a 4v2, and they are just going to call it off. As you can see, Zven going back to mid lane. Galio's down on that bottom side. You know, the only kind of problem here with the lane assignments for Cloud9 is when you have Galio down in that bottom lane, he can't really assist on the side of the map that Blaber is playing to. But looks like it's going to be an engage up here.
Well, they're going to try, but without getting the first half of the ultimate land on the Licorice, he sidesteps it and says, I'll be seeing you, buddy. Meteos shows back up, and he gets a bit of a slow. Okay, Licorice is running a bit low on health, but pops the barrel, walks back away. Not a huge problem. I like it. Puts up the tent. You're camping top lane, and I still got a 5 KDA.
I'm loving the emotes, man. They really do add something special. C9's emote game has been pretty good. I think it's a lot easier to be dropping the emotes, though, when you're winning, so...
Yeah, true. Well, he's going to drop a Rift Herald up to the top side, and Licorice will do his best to wave clear, and doesn't get a whole lot out of that one, actually. This is going to be a very dead turret. C9 did already get the first one in the mid lane. They're going to get bot lane here as well from Nisqy, but at least 100 Thieves are on the board with that one, getting occasional objectives as top lane is still cleared. Shelly may just get the second charge, and looks like without a defending minion wave, but will drop this turret to half HP.
Yep. I mean, at this point, you're so far behind as 100 Thieves. You've got to just go where Cloud9 isn't and try to get something, right? So if you know that Olaf is on the bottom side, great. You're not getting to play on the bottom side. You're trying to get a turret on the top side. You're trying to scrape some gold together because, I mean, they're down 6,000 gold here at 17 minutes. It does mean that they lose the bottom turret. It does mean that they lose a dragon. But fact of the matter is, you could go there and try to contest, but all you're going to do is die at this point. You know, they're going to need multiple items on Azir, multiple items on Aphelios before they really have any chance in this game. And when you're looking at the itemization, especially on this Aphelios, it's feeling pretty darn sad. You know, there's a BF sword, a dagger, the boots, the executioner is good against Yuumi, but it's like, he is so far from being threatening. You pretty much have to see the IE plus a Hurricane before you care about Aphelios at all at this point. And, you know, you have so many core items completed on the side of Cloud9. You know, it's Warrior Black Cleaver already done on Blaber here, and this is going to be a dead stun.
Well, he's going to blast over. He's going to get slowed a little bit by Cannon Barrage. They're going to chase right onto the inhibitor turret. Stunt burns a stopwatch, but that means Zven's in range for the WQ, plus the Axe for Blaber. And another kill is on the board for Cloud9. He did his best to run away. It's still not going to be enough. A 0-3 support. Nautilus tried his hardest to run away.
And when you are these tank supports and you're really far behind, you just don't have enough levels, you don't have enough gold to really be tanky, right? You know, that is his flash down, that is his stopwatch down, and it's going to be a really rough one for Stunt. You know, generally when you get behind on a tank support, it doesn't usually get a lot better throughout the game. You can see he's 2 levels behind his counterpart in Vulcan. You know, he's 4 levels behind on the jungler. He's 5 levels behind on these solo laners, which means you really are just food at this point. It's pretty much a one-way trip anytime he's going to hook in. He'll likely die immediately thereafter, so it's going to have to be a very high-value engage if he's going to look for one.
He's going to hope his very hardest that it can happen, but there's not a lot of great targets, right? Gangplank cleanses it, Olaf's immune to it. Galio's the biggest tank on the squad, and Yuumi's untargetable as Ezreal jumps away. So Triforce done now for Zven. He's scaling up nicely. Ssumday has to look at another couple levels forward until those upgrades come through, so even the Ornn power spikes aren't up yet. Those items are there. Just waiting for them to be, you know, red bordered and, you know, 1,800 gold worth of stats to come through. At some point that'll happen, but just not yet. Blaber goes for Herald number 2 as late as possible. It's going to despawn at 55 into the game, and over 20 seconds should die, so they'll get it. It'll be kind of the max damage Herald can be. It deals damage based on the level of champions when it's killed, so very late one means a pretty damaging Herald.
Yeah, the itemization is just so good for Cloud9 right now. You know, Essence Reaver's almost done for Licorice. You can see 2 items done in jungler, 2 items done in bot lane, 2 items done in mid lane. You know, they are fully online and ready to fight. Pretty much a full item ahead of almost all of their counterparts. So there really is no fight that 100 Thieves wins right now, unless it is just a pick with, you know, multiple members against one from Cloud9. So Cloud9 is going to try to be stealing away as much of the jungle as they can. Meteos has been very intelligent about his pathing, you know, from a losing position. Yes, you can criticize the fact that he got in that losing position, but you know, he has been playing a very scrappy game, taking away Olaf's jungle when he knows Olaf is going to be in his jungle, farming that, you know, finding objectives on the opposite side of the map. So I do think Meteos is deserving of some credit, you know, playing from this difficult spot, but Cloud9 are just in such a dominant position, and really, you know, one team fight win with this much of a lead could mean Baron.
Yep. So we kind of sit and wait and hope that scaling will kind of win the day for 100 Thieves then, as level 13 came through for Ssumday. He gets the 2 item upgrades. Level 14 means you get a Molten Edge for a good 30 attack damage on a Cody Sun. That's a nice, you know, 1,000 more gold worth of stats as well. So yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel is very, very long, and it's about 7,000 gold long.
Dark and full of terrors for you.
Yeah, like the lights are out, you know, there's an EMP that detonated or something.
Olaf hiding behind the corner.
Exactly, you've got to be really afraid, you know? So Meteos, speaking of which, has to jump out of his own jungle. He sees a Blaber lurking around, can't deal with that one. No wolves to steal. Actually, the entire jungle is gone, so there's nothing to take away just yet, but Cloud9 knows they have absolute control over, you know, 3/4 of the map right now.
And this Rift Herald could very well mean another turret going their way, as Azir is just going to base, and that probably will mean that being given up. They're actually just pushing mid lane too, so this could be 2 more turrets going the way of Cloud9. There's just, their poke is so strong from this Yuumi plus Ezreal combo. They actually forced out Meteos' flash and ult there just off screen. So they're just going to continue the siege. It's very safe here for Ezreal to just W the turret, walk up, get an auto off with that Sheen proc, get a lot of damage down, and they're now threatening the inhibitor here. 22 minutes in, that inhibitor tower is gone.
That is a taunt that is followed through, and that is a dead Ryoma. Open inhibitor now. Ssumday forced to charge away, but Blaber wants to go for the chase already. Charges in, has to kite back out, but look at the damage output dealt by those barrels. Power spike done for Gangplank. Inhibitor is gone to the bottom lane. Inhibitor turret in the mid, dropping rapidly here as well. How do you defend a 4v5 when you're down 10,000 gold? You probably don't. You bleed the inhibs and you try to live and fight another day. Problem is, those days aren't getting any longer, and it's not going to be any easier next time.
This game is the most over. I mean, this is a 10,000 gold lead at 22 minutes with both your inhibitors down. How do you ever defend against a Baron take at this point? Cloud9 have way better turn. They can still pressure, anywhere on the map they want. And 100 Thieves now have to deal with 2 waves of super minions. Pretty much at this point, you're hoping that you can hold out to like 40 minutes, right? And I just don't see that happening when Cloud9 from much more even positions almost always ends the game by 30 minutes. This is looking pretty done and dusted for Cloud9. They have the soul win condition in 5 minutes. They have the ability to just go pressure Baron, send someone with TP down to the bot lane to keep ushering in these super minions, have 4 men over by the Baron, set up there, look to take that, and then end the game.
Now Cloud9 just taking more farm overall in the game. You can see almost every single role out of the ones that don't count, like support, enchanter versus tank. They are out farming down the line. They've poached the jungle, they farm the lanes better, obviously kills and turrets and drakes and whatnot in their favor as well.
10 kills to 2, they are really looking very, very good. And, coming into Summer Split, there was a lot of people, kind of had those questions of how good will Cloud9 look? Will the meta suit Cloud9? Will they be kind of resting on their laurels after that championship win? Will they look as hungry? Well, the answer is they're looking pretty damn good. They win their first game against FlyQuest, who was obviously the second place team, in about 30 minutes. This one is looking on pace for that as well, and they are much more dominant here today. Blaber, I don't think he should be getting Olaf much more. Both his Olaf games, he has completely been running over their opponents, and now they're looking for a gauge.
Ooh, they find the taunt, they find the kill. I think it was Cleanse just to pop the sorcery rune, if he even has
Nimbus
it.
Cloak,
yeah, to get some Nimbus Cloak move speed and catch up to his opponent. That's going to work nicely. And now in we go. This is going to be Baron getting dropped down. No opposing jungler. You might throw a skill shot, but at the same time, why even bother for 100 Thieves? It's almost unstealable. They're not going to get to try. Ryoma gets locked up. Over the wall goes Zven, grabs the kill. Nice attempt by Ssumday, but the ult's not going to claim it. 5v3 on the map. Here comes the chase. Stunt's going to run for his life. He's going to find a stun into Zven. He's going to get taunted into the turret, though, and he's going to die to Nisqy. Cloud9 3-0 on that fight. The Baron picked up now already, and it's ready to go into the base itself.
Yeah, that'll do it. They can probably just push in here and close out the game. They have supers mid lane. You can see Blaber is pushing that in. Looks like they want to go for the dive on Meteos first.
Now they're going to force the ulti out. When's the drop down going to happen? Not going to burn the ulti. It's going to hold on to that one, but it is going to mean another kill. It's Ssumday running away. Almost goes down, but just stays alive as Cody Sun sits in the back and waits for his chance to get into a fight. Turret's going to fall yet again. Third open inhibitor, but on the Nexus turrets, it's going to be Cloud9 going for a 26-minute win. They dominated the LCS in the spring split, and they are still dominating the LCS in summer. Looking for the back-to-back victories. Cloud9 looks like the definitive best team in North America. Got more fights to have, but this is going to be another Nexus falling. Cloud9 taking names so far all of 2020 as Nexus falls and Cloud9 start the LCS 2-0.
What a game from Cloud9. I mean, they made this look so easy against 100 Thieves, honestly. Start to finish, really well played. The kind of lone bright spot for 100 Thieves was that early first blood up in the top lane. But after that, it was basically everything, all Cloud9, the whole game through. There were some kind of standout mistakes from 100 Thieves. You could see Stunt, some poor engages that led to some early deaths from him. And Cloud9 really just doesn't need much of an edge to completely run over a game, as we have seen. This has been a pretty dominating first weekend for them.
Yeah, they look exactly like they have kind of all year long so far. Is just Cloud9 are just kind of better than everybody else. That's just what it's been so far for them. As they find people to knock down, it's been kind of amazing just to see them, absolutely destroy everybody. It's been good stuff so far. Well, either way, though, that is going to do it for us. It's time to step away. When in return, we will have a look at what's going on as Licorice will have a Verizon postgame interview with Cloud9's Licorice.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS. I am standing on by with our Verizon post-game interview, Licorice by my side, to talk about that tremendous victory. First of all, as a fellow curly-haired individual, I do want to say I'm very happy to see your hair in full swing. You are free. This is your first time talking on the broadcast since the break. How you been?
I've been doing really well. I think I took the break and actually used it to relax this time, which is something that I don't usually do. And then my concern was that I was going to come back in and not be as prepared as everyone else who was grinding the whole time. But I've been able to practice really hard in the past couple of weeks, and I feel really good about my play right now.
Well, and one thing about practicing hard, not just for yourself, but the entirety of the team, with this composition we just witnessed, it seems clear that Cloud9 is still trying to innovate and experiment with different styles of play that you're coming with. So how much of your practice as a team is trying to find new ways to expand upon the success you found, rather than maybe focusing on even perfecting further some of your past strats?
Well, for us, I think it's because the meta is going to shift all the time. We're just always looking for what we think is the strongest right now. And if that's what we're used to playing, then we're just going to keep playing that and get better at it. But if it's something new, then we're going to try to figure that out and play it as well. We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into a specific play style. And I think it's been working really well for us so far.
Well, and speaking of new, the desk was saying how there is a lot of variety available in the top lane. And we haven't really seen Wukong or things like that yet here in NA. What is your take on what might be coming of the top lane experience in summer for NALCS?
The top lane experience. I don't know. I think there's a lot of picks that people can pull out right now, and it seems like a lot of players are still defaulting to the Ornn and the Aatrox, which are kind of those comfort picks. But I really do think that you can really pick probably, I would say at least 10 different champions in the top lane right now, and I think we'll see more of them as the split goes on.
All right, well, it's wonderful always getting to see your play on the Rift, and I'm going to hold you to that, see what you end up bringing out in future games here for the LCS. But that does it for us here on the interview. Let's send it back over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Licorice. Licorice of all top laners, I think, in that conversation around meta, is one of the players I would first expect to be most flexible in bringing out some interesting picks. And the top lane matchup is where I want to start, because that was our focus going into the game. The GP in the Ornn is what we came out with. Licorice versus Ssumday. How did they do?
Well, they let the Ornn through to take the Gangplank matchup, and he actually had the experience advantage from the ward, as Dale pointed out, which prompted him to become so overly aggressive that eventually Meteos shows up and takes him down, but it didn't matter because Blaber had so many resources that allowed him to swing the Kindred versus Olaf matchup in his way. Kindred's thinking, should I fight this, should I not? Well, you really shouldn't when there's a global ultimate in the mid lane and top lane, and this was just the beginning of what this composition was meant to do.
And we talked a lot about how good Ssumday is, and Ornn's a great champion, we all know that, but it's definitely not the most expressive and easiest to take a game over with. So, to that point about letting Ssumday get the Ornn, while a very strong team champion, it does limit some of the individual carry potential on the top side. And there were a number of opportunities where Ssumday, forced his flash 1v1, and then this was a kill opportunity that might be a little bit easier to follow up on with a more aggressive champion. I love the emoting by Licorice there, especially the one that comes after him.
Yeah, more and more of it as we watch this play out. But it seems now 2 games in a row for Cloud9, while they were dominant victories in hindsight, that they have started on somewhat rocky footing. And we get to, that mid to late game where Cloud9 really starts to turn it on. And we'll move into that in just a moment. But probably I'm going to come to you next, because we heard Ezreal have some questions, some curiosities around Cloud9's composition from the get-go and how it would all ultimately work together.
Yeah, and after seeing the Galio pick, I kind of agreed with Ezreal. I was like, yeah, this doesn't seem that great. I just didn't see where the damage was going to come from, especially against an Ornn. You have the Ezreal and you have the Gangplank, who aren't consistent, reliable damage on targets you want. So that Ornn is just going to be able to soak a lot of it in a late-game teamfight. So I was really curious, who's actually going to be able to deal with this backline. But as we saw in the clips before, this comp was not about late game team fights or anything. This comp was let's get Blaber in there. He was fighting everywhere, and every time he took a 1v1, he always had a GPO or a Galio or a Yuumi with him. So he was actually never a 1v1, and the comp just allowed him to go in. Even the Ezreal pick was
Yeah.
throwing ults to help Olaf get more kills.
This was the draft solely by Blaber. He first picks the champ he wants, and then selects every other person in their role about what's going to help him do what he wants to do this game. And when you watch it happen, it's just who's going to be helping him out next. You have Blaber, running in, followed by Galio with GPL, with Yuumi jumping on top of him for heals and all those. It's absolutely insane.
It's the jungle dream, though, because you could pick this composition for other rosters, and they would not be able to execute it. You don't have a jungler that is so good at getting into your face and then just fighting constantly. Like, look at this, right? He's going to go so low, and immediately there's a Gangplank ultimate. There's the Galio ultimate as well with an additional shield, and he's thinking, I am so strong, I can even take the Aphelios in the head. If he got close to him, he would have actually taken him down too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane, all the follow-up that they have that can come in. And then he's also, he's a team player, gives it back a little bit to the Galio, ganks his lane and stuff, but a lot of it was taking place in the river, in the jungle. The most incredible one was the top side, where he bumps into the Nautilus, Yuumi's ulting, GP's ulting, Ezreal's flying through. It was just basically the setup Blaber to run over the game show, and that's what he did.
Yeah, I think that this kind of sparks a discussion around team comps as a whole and team identity, right? I mean, Cloud9 all throughout spring seemed to be capable of things that other teams were not, and a lot of my curiosities lie in which teams will look to Cloud9 and say, who's our Blaber, right? We don't have to play with our jungler, trying to emulate Blaber, but for each team, who is that person that you really can invest a bunch of resources in to win? Or is that not your team identity and you need to go a different direction?
Yeah, like Licorice said in his interview earlier, like they have like 5 little mini leaders. So like even though if Blaber was like the star in this game where he's getting all this support, like yeah, if the GP's not ulting on time or in the right place because he doesn't know where Olaf is going, or the Galio is late, like this is going to be a dead Olaf in a lot of cases. So it's like it is a lot about Blaber, but it is also about the team being on the same page as this like maniac jungler that's just running and fighting everyone.
I think the big one is Nisqy, though, because a lot of teams, maybe they have a jungler that can carry, but you don't have a mid laner that can play as selfless as Nisqy, that's willing to just take Dematerializer, play the Galio, and just start roaming and doing as much as possible to help him out. So many of the teams with the better junglers also have mid laners that depend on carrying. Like, I would not want to see Jizuke taking the Nisqy style. I want so many resources poured onto him, despite thinking that someone like Svenskeren could do something of the same that Blaber just did.
I would say Golden Guardians is a good example of someone who could. That was one of the main champions for Demonte coming out was Galio, and you have Closer. That's one that can maybe pull this off.
All right, well, Golden Guardians, maybe they can emulate Cloud9. Cloud9, just a stellar team. I'm sort of regretting not creating an over-under for that squad. I would have put the line at 17 and seen whether or not you guys think that they can make the perfect season a reality, but I'll save you from that. When we return, we've got TSM and Dignitas loading onto the Rift for Game 2, so don't go anywhere.
Comes the slow, not a possible way to leave this one. Knockup's not going to land just yet. Nisqy, though, is going to be a close fight. Gets the taunt, gets the hit, has to pop the stopwatch, and Zven is there for good measure.
They're now threatening the inhibitor here. 22 minutes in, that inhibitor tower is gone.
That is a taunt that is followed through, and that is a dead Ryoma.
Welcome to Assist of the Day, presented by State Farm. Game 3 of the set between Cloud9 and FlyQuest saw a glimmer of hope in the series for FlyQuest after Ignar charms Blaber, who is immediately blown up. 5v4 well in hand, Santorin drops in with a grand starfall, but somehow Nisqy's equalizer holds them off. Licorice then comes in charging with World Ender, having saved it all for the fight, quickly getting 2 more kills and securing the fight for Cloud9.
For now, we're all living a new normal. Businesses are closing. Living rooms are now offices and schools. Our world is suddenly different, but one thing stays the same. State Farm is there. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent, because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.